And we've got another show of Talking Technical ahead of us, and it's so nice joining you because thanks for all the requests. I see some guys also use some of the social platforms to ask us for some shares to analyze, but that's fine. You can either drop us an email to admin@fransdeklerk.com or even tweet us on the handle Trader Frans. But first of all, let's kick off with Capitec. And this is strangely enough a friend of mine, and he phoned me. He said to me, Frans, can we maybe have a look at Capitec? Because I was a little bit of Capitec a while back, and let's have a look at Capitec because I was seeing a head and shoulder there, but let's see if we can still see that. And if I look at Capitec, what worries me is all these favorites, and I'll mention one of them that I also fell in a trap into properties. I bought it and I thought, well, this share is going to surprise me to the top and I want to buy it for a medium to a long-term view, and then yesterday it just plummeted. But if we look at Capitec, first of all, let's have a look at this share. It had one beautiful rally. I mean, we can just take it a little bit back. Let's just have a look, and then we can just show you guys. From 2013, this share started at around, let's call it 100 Rand. I know it was listed well below that, but it started there at about 100 Rand and it went all the way up to 1400 Rand. And then what worried me was every time that you see these Lampole formations, now this was this Viceroy report when everybody was shocked about it and it came back. But I mean, all these Lampole formations usually triggered a bit of a selling. And this recent one from about December this year to April, it really surprised me when it started to come back, because what I saw was a head and shoulder formation forming, and I just want to show the viewers where I actually saw that. And usually I'm nervous about a stock that can just go up and nobody worries about it and everybody just say it must go higher. And remember, this is a weekly chart of Capitec. Now, Capitec, of course, we know is a stern company with brilliant management. But there was the head and shoulder. There's the left shoulder. There's the big head. And there's the right shoulder. Now, this got triggered below 1,278 Rand. It got triggered. Now, if this plays out, it reached its first conservative target. But if it plays out to the full, let's maybe just have a look here. It can take the share all the way down to this support level. And I would like to show you guys that. There you are. There you are. It can maybe go all the way back to 1,105 Rand. That's about 80 Rand from here. Then we get to this big support level that was reached in December 2017. So be careful on Capitec. It can maybe go even a little bit lower. I think if you did lock in profits, maybe you must just sit on the sidelines before you enter in, because at the moment it looks like clearly that the stock is losing momentum. And the other thing that I do pick up here is that the 40-week moving average of the stock has turned into a resistance. Now, that is always a negative for me. If I look at it, let's just go have a look there. There you are. Look at it. There's the 40-week moving average. This is the long-term moving average that kept all the investors happy. Now, what we've seen in the past, that it dips below that, and then it's, well, almost you can say go even higher from there. But look at this. It broke below that, and we'll have to see now if this resistance of this 40-week moving average is going to remain a resistance. So for those guys that locked in profit, I don't think it's time to buy yet. And for those guys that short, I think I will hold on, because we can maybe reach all the way down to 1,100 Rand to reach for the target of this head and shoulder formation. Well, Kevin asked me to have a look at the gold price. And he said to me, Frans, I'm a keen buyer of gold. And we mentioned gold on the program quite a while already. And we also happy with that. And let's just see that. The gold price built a massive base over so many years. And it's always a case of stocks or shares or instruments. If they start to build a base for over years and we ignore that, then you usually fall into the trap that the stock or the index or even that instrument can surprise you when it breaks. And look at it. This is that massive inverse head and shoulder that we worked on before. And this started in around 2013. There's the left shoulder. There's the massive head. This is the right shoulder. And it's eating its way all the way up. Now, while it's above this neckline, and that is 1,357, it is still positive. But for me, I will say above 1,400, that nice psychological level, the momentum is still clearly to the upside, Kevin. I think maybe we can hold on. What worries me a little bit is this lamp pull formation. Usually a lamp pull formation triggers a sell-off or some profit taking. That's why I will say above $1,400, it can still go higher. And only I'll get worried if it breaks below 1,357, because then we get back into this massive base. But at the moment, the momentum is beautifully to the top. Well, let's look at my story of Into Properties. I bought the stock, and I'm still holding onto the stock. And it looks like these guys got big problems now on the debt side. And I bought the stock simply because I wanted to buy a property overseas, but I don't want to have a physical property there that I must manage. And I decided that I must buy the stock and accumulate it over time. Now, what happened now? Look what we've seen here. This stock started to fall off a cliff. I did my initial buy around 18 Rand. And I nibbled it as it came back, because I've allocated a certain amount of money for an overseas property, and I thought, well, I must accumulate it. But what happened yesterday? Yesterday, it fell off a cliff. And the other thing what happened yesterday, it also suddenly told us that they've got huge debt problems, and with these debt problems, they can actually maybe come to the market for a rights issue. Now, that always makes me a little bit nervous. So I've stopped buying anything now, and now I revert to my old system, and that is I'm looking at this resistance line. Look at the resistance line. The stock is purely trapped in this resistance line. What also triggered me last time to say, listen, this is a stock maybe to look at, is this falling wedge. But what happened now? This falling wedge is always, like I always say, goodbye, Irene. The stock also fell off a cliff. So what I will say to myself, and this is exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit on my hands now. And I'm going to save my money. And if they come out with a rights issue, then I will probably participate. Because what usually happens is, if you buy a stock, let's call it at 10 Rand, and it falls to 5 Rand, and you did not take your stop loss, they come out with a ridiculous rights issue price. And then if you don't take it up, we've seen it in Lonman, then they dilute your shares in such a way that you can never come back into a profit. So the best here is to wait. If you want to lock in your loss, some guys will just say, listen, I'm selling it out. So if you want to sell it out, sell it out. I've decided that I'm going to hold on. I'm going to see what the company is going to do. Because remember, this is a property company. This is not a company where it can maybe just go under. Because that's usually the first question that you also need to ask you. If you have a stock, can the company go completely under? Now, I think with Into Properties, it's maybe a difficult scenario or a different scenario. It is what they call bricks and mortar. You cannot just take it away. It has got a little bit of a value in it. So, but I am clearly wrong here, and I've bought some of them at around 18 Rand and accumulated them lower. In actual fact, yesterday morning, when it traded even lower, I bought it again, and only later on I heard about the news. So also this is a lesson. Even if you are so many years involved in the market, you can also be wrong. And that's important to remember. Never put all your money in one share, because if that happens to you, if you've got all your money allocated in one share and you're not diversified, it can actually wipe you out. Let's have a look at Sasol. Sasol is you can almost say, for so many listeners and readers, and the guy that asked here was, okay, Kobus said, Frans, can you maybe look at Sasol now? We know that Sasol sits on this head and shoulder formation. I've mentioned it before, and I'm nervous that it can still play out, because this head and shoulder is a clear formation. They look at it. There's the left shoulder. There's the head, there's the right shoulder, there's a technical goodbye kiss, a negative one that we've also mentioned on the program before, and it's falling off a cliff. And it reached now almost its first target. There's the conservative target. Let's have a look here. There you are. It reached its first target. But the problem here is I don't see any proper reversal candles yet. So if you want to look at the stock and you think that you must buy it, use this resistance line. I will draw there a little line in, and I will say to myself, this resistance line holds the key. If it goes below the low of the other day, that is, let's give you the low there. If it goes below 302.46 of the other day, it can easily go to the psychological level of 300 Rand. But at the moment, this resistance lines hold the clue, and if it gets above 320.40, that will be the first sign that we can maybe see a little bit of a tick up higher. And if you are a trader, you can maybe look at it, because of course, if you look at the stochastic here, let's just put in a stochastic here, and then you'll see what I'll show you here. It is grossly oversold, but at the moment the momentum is so clearly to the downside. I think people are nervous about the stock. Look at it. In the past, every time that the stochastic was so low, it did give us a little bit of a relief bounce. But look what happened here. It remains below. But let's stick to that line, and let's stick to the stop loss 302.46. And if it breaks above that, you can easily see a nice pullback all the way back to this neckline. It sometimes happens with these shares that falls off a cliff. You get a sharp reversal, what we call a V reversal. But in this case, it looks like the share is under pressure. So wait for this resistance line, and remember, while it is below this neckline, doesn't matter who's saying what to you, it is still negative. The momentum to the downside is then clearly in place. So don't rush in until you know that you can see proper reversal candles.